I wish target practice.
I found Sancticide kind of by accident, honestly. I was just scrolling around, saw the word Soulslike and thought, alright, why not, let's try it. No expectations, no hype, nothing like that. And after finishing it, I'm kind of stuck in that middle spot. Like, I can see what the game is going for, I really can, but at the same time, I can also clearly see where it just doesn't work. This is one of those games where you feel the potential, but at the same time, it also feels a bit unfinished. Not broken or anything, just, like, it needed more time, it's not bad, it's just uneven. So, yeah, starting from the basics. Graphically, Sancticide is fine, like, don't expect anything crazy or next gen, but it's not ugly either. It just sits right in the middle. Everything looks okay. Characters, environments, effects, all of it is just decent. Nothing really stands out, but nothing ruins it either. Where it gets more interesting is the art direction. This is probably one of the most inconsistent parts of the game, but also one of the best when it actually works. There are moments where the game looks genuinely unique. After like an hour, you get to this small town, and there's this room with an angel inside. That part in particular, honestly, really well done. It actually feels like they had a clear vision there, and you can see it. But then you move on, and that level of care just kind of disappears. Some areas feel inspired, others feel super generic. It almost feels like different parts of the game were made at different times, or with different levels of attention. And yeah, you notice that pretty quickly. The story is really simple. Like, really simple. For most of the game, you're basically just chasing this guy who keeps running away. That's it. That's the main thing. The game does try to build on it. It introduces characters, tries to add some depth, explain the world a bit more, but it just doesn't really land. A big reason is the writing and the voice acting.
Procrastination of the inevitable. Zeke, do not complicate what is very simple. You were given a contract on him.
The writing feels flat, nothing really sticks, nothing feels memorable. And the voice acting, it's not awful, but it's not strong enough to carry weak dialogue. So by the end, all I really got was, the world is controlled by angels, there's some kind of apocalypse going on, and I need to kill this guy because he's corrupting people. That's basically it. It feels like there's something deeper there, but it just never connects. You don't get attached to anyone, and you're not really driven by the story. This is where things get more interesting and also more frustrating. At its core, it's a classic Soulslike. Melee combat, dodging, parrying, stamina management, all that stuff. And when it works, it actually feels pretty good. Weapons have weight, hits feel impactful, parrying is satisfying. When you're fighting one enemy, maybe two, it works. You can read attacks, react properly, take your time. But then the game kind of flips the whole experience. Instead of controlled fights like you'd expect, it often throws multiple enemies at you. Not just a couple, sometimes 4 or 5 at once. And yeah, some of them have guns. So what happens is, you get surrounded, you get hit from everywhere, you get stun-locked, and sometimes there's just nothing you can do. This is easily the biggest issue in the game. Souls-like combat is usually about precision and control, and here it just turns into chaos. And not the good kind. There are some interesting ideas here, especially with the powers. There's one ability that lets you push enemies away, and honestly, it's kinda broken. You can basically keep some enemies stunned just by spamming it. So instead of using the full combat system, you end up relying on that because it's just way more effective. Again, it feels unpolished. There are also ranged weapons, but ammo is super limited. Like, so limited that I barely use them. They're there, but they don't really feel important. Weapons are decent. Not a huge selection, but the ones you get feel good to use. They have weight, they feel different enough, so that part is solid. But enemies, yeah. You end up fighting the same ones over and over again. There's not much variety, and after a while, you start noticing the same patterns repeating. So even if the combat can feel good, the lack of variety kind of drags it down. The kosher and unkosher system. This is actually a pretty interesting idea. There's this system where your weapons affect your alignment basically, kosher or unkosher, and that changes your stats and progression. It's not super deep, but it's different, and it adds something extra. It's one of those things where you can see the potential, and it would have been nice to see it expanded more. The healing system is a bit weird. In most Soulslikes you have flasks or checkpoints. Here, you just find lanterns on the ground that heal you. That's it. There's no real system you can rely on. It feels kind of random, and I never really understood why they went with that. Exploration is also pretty linear. There are some side paths, but most of the time, they just lead to chests with items that aren't that useful. So you don't really feel rewarded for exploring. Progression system, and yeah, this is a big one. There's a skill tree with a lot of abilities, which sounds great, but you barely unlock anything. I played on hard, killed pretty much everything, and by the end I had unlocked maybe a tiny fraction of the skills. and that just kills the sense of progression. You see all these abilities, but you know you're not going to get them, so instead of feeling rewarding, it just feels pointless. Even with all these issues, I didn't hate playing it. Actually, when the game works, it's enjoyable. When the combat is fair, when you're not getting swarmed, when everything clicks, it feels good. There's something satisfying about the weight, the timing, the flow. It just doesn't stay consistent. Sancticide feels like a really solid foundation that just isn't fully there yet. It has a unique setting, some interesting ideas, decent core combat, and a few moments where the art direction really shines. But it also has frustrating enemy design, a weak story, repetitive enemies, a broken progression system, and overall, it just lacks polish. So yeah, it's not a bad game. But it's not a great one either, at least right now. If the developers keep working on it, fix the balance, improve progression, and polish everything up, this could actually turn into something really good. Right now, it's a decent Souls-like with clear problems, but also clear potential. And honestly, sometimes that's enough, especially if you go in with the right expectations.